Hello and welcome to The Ring, Euronews's brand new debate show broadcasting from the European Parliament in Strasbourg. Once a week, two elected members of the European Parliament will go face-to-face on some of the most pressing issues for Europe. And this week, it's the Green Deal, a drag or an opportunity for Europe.
Europe's fight against climate change is at a turning point. While the 27 officially maintain a unified front on climate, ambition is slipping, targets are under debate, and industry-first pressures are mounting. Recent events underline this tension. In the European Parliament, the centre-right European People's Party joined forces with the far-right groups, Patriots for Europe and the Europe of Sovereign Nations, to ease the burden of corporate sustainability. The result? A balancing act between economic growth and climate responsibility that leaves the EU at a crossroads. Can it still speak with one voice on climate action?
But can the EU keep up a united front on what is now one of the most polarizing topics for Europeans? That is the question that we will be putting to our contenders. Let's meet them.
Javi López, Vice President of the European Parliament, member of the Socialist and Democrats group. A champion of the fair green transition, he believes global warming needs to be addressed immediately. We must make sure that Europe is on track in a socially just way, he said. Hildegard Bentele, German member of the European Parliament with the centre-right European People's Party. A staunch advocate of slashing bureaucracy, she supports the green transition, but not at any cost. Known for her work on the Critical Materials Act, she once said, "If we are serious about the Green Deal, sustainable sourcing of critical raw materials is part of the solution, certainly not the problem."
Welcome to The Ring, and thank you so much for joining us this week. It's beautiful being in Strasbourg. We're happy to see you, but of course now let's get to the point of the question, and that is the Green Deal. Hildegard, perhaps we'll start with you. Is it an opportunity, or is it now just simply a drag for this economy?
It is a necessity. So there is no worries. We have to, as political leaders, we have to look into the future, and we decided to implement the Green Deal. We have to transform it, but we have to stick to it.
When you say we've got to change it, transform it, what does that mean?
That means we have to make out of the Green Deal a green industrial deal, because we cannot do it without our industry, with our businesses, and they have a hard time at the moment.
Is that something that you hear? We want the Green Deal, but we've got to change it?
Well, I agree that this is not only a green agenda, this is also an economic agenda. In fact, the European Green Deal has to be our path to growth in the future. And we are sure that the efforts of today will be the competitiveness of tomorrow, because the green technology is the race, space race of the 21st century.
But do you believe that the Green Deal can help the European economy? Because the economy is barely growing and energy is a massive problem for all of the European industry all over the EU.
Yeah, it's true. But then the point is, which is the reason? Why during the last 15 years we are losing the race of competitiveness and our economy, that it has to be more dynamic? And the reason is not the loss that we made during the last 3-4 years.
It's not the Green Deal to blame.
No, it's not over-regulation. The problem is the lack of investment. And the point is how we should channel better private and public investment, and this should be our discussion.
Okay, but Madam Bentele, he says it's not the Green Deal. The Green Deal is not to blame for it. A lot of the industry, however, says you over-regulated too much and there was no industrial plan to go with it. Was it a mistake? Great idea, badly implemented?
It was not a mistake, but the deal part of the Green Deal was missing. Because, as Javi said, I fully agree, it should be, an idea of growth, and we should, create new jobs with this new economy we want to build. But this part has not been fulfilled because the setting is different. Because we had COVID, because we have the war in Ukraine, we have a trade war with Donald Trump, and we have a China, which is much more assertive. So the environment in which the whole Green Deal is taking place has changed a lot, and this has put a lot of pressure on the industry.
So how can this be adapted to a 2025 economy? As she mentioned, it's China, it's the United States, many issues for the European economy. What needs to change in 2025?
Well, first point, sure, we can do better our loss. and like the discussions that we have about simplification, I think they are fair enough. We should try to eliminate administrative burden and overlapping of laws, something that happens sometimes in Europe. And this
Many
is something,
times, some would say.
No, this is something that it's there. This is first. Secondly, this is the main reason of the lack of growth in Europe? Not, because if we see like the data, and this is the point, this is not a discussion about ideology, it's first of all, we have countries in Europe with growth of 2.5, almost 3% during the last years. Spain is a good example of that, and with the same regulatory framework in Europe.
But a lot of money coming from the recovery fund.
Yeah, it's true. Investment, because investment is the key. It's not the regulatory framework. Secondly, and not only that, like our problem it was during the last 10 years. In fact, like the main problem during the last years, it was our dependency of fossil fuels coming from Russia and our dependency of our industrial base in the continental Europe coming from the cheap gas coming from Russia. And like with more green technology and renewables, we would be able to be more competitive in the world.
Was it Germany's fault? He talks about a world in which Germany was hooked, an industry on cheap Russian gas. That has gone out the window now. That is blame of the Green Deal. But maybe the issue is much deeper. Germany had a bad economic model, and we pay for it.
The whole model also of the Green Deal depends on cheap, affordable energy. And we used to have it, and I fully agree, but because of the war, if there was no war, we would still, rely on cheap Russian gas. And until today, there are new, sourcing, there are new oil and gas, drilling. So this model continues. But I think it's not wise to continue with it, but for resilience reasons, but not in terms of price. In terms of price, the high energy prices in Europe are the main obstacle.
What's the solution? Is it simplification? Is it to simplify even more?
Well, this is one part. Of course, we have to look at the legal requirements, which are not feasible, which are not economically viable. I fully agree. But we have to look into the real problems, which is energy prices and which is also, investment. I agree. But we have a problem because we have not unlimited budgets because we had a resilience and recovery fund, which, for the first time, the European Union indebted itself. And now we have, again, the problem that budgets are shrinking. And we have, the challenge to invest into our defense industry. So there's less money left for measures supporting the industry.
All the time at the same time. Do you agree? The issue is we don't have money in Europe to invest?
Well, I think our problem is not only like public budgets, our problem is also private investment. Because one of the main problems that we had is during the last years, private savings were like channeled to American investments because there they can find more profits. This was something that happened. And then why? Because we have a fragmented financial system in Europe. We don't have a banking union. We don't have a saving unions. Like we should need to consolidate a space in Europe to channel like private investments. This is something that we need because it's not only like about public. But my point here is like our problems are deeper than regulatory burden.
It's deeper than the Green Deal, because this is a hot topic. It's a toxic question for a lot of Europeans.
Yeah, but it will be really easy if we changing like 3 or 4 laws that we made during the last mandate that we are solving our competitiveness problems. And to be honest, laws that they didn't enter into force, they cannot be explained by our problems.
But some argue the targets are an issue, the 2040, the 2050, sending a very stringent industry or signal to the industry. Do you believe, Madam Bentele, that these targets, they are no longer relevant?
They are relevant because we have set the direction and we don't want to change direction.
You don't want to change them?
No. But we have to see, we just had, the COP30 conference and we see the global competition and we can see China, which is, the biggest emitter, and they don't set themselves as
China didn't show up to
targets.
The COP.
They follow the industry, the technology, how fast they can develop technology, and then they, formulate the targets. So they do it the other way around, and I think we have to pay attention to this setting, and we cannot do it alone because we are representing 9% of the global population and our industry even less. So we have to adapt,
You're saying no. I can hear you going no.
Our point is like we don't have to be fetish with the instruments, but we have to be clear with the goals. And this is something that we share here, and we share in the Parliament. Our point is like to have predictability and certainty in the rules that we are doing, especially to ensuring that we have enough investment.
But China, India, the US, they did not show up to the COP and they do not have those targets. Are we doing too much? It's a fair question.
But okay, we can talk about China if you want. China, the 50% of the cars that they are selling in their market, 50% they are electric cars. They are doing the 90% of the batteries or the solar panels in the world.
Here.
A lot of they are coming here. Like they are doing more than us in terms of green technology. Like the point is, if we are be ready to compete in the world that it's coming, this is the question. And to do that, we need predictability and a regulatory framework that helps and accompany the private sector because they need help on this transformation, but makes predictable what we are going to do the next 10, 15 years.
I got a final question on this point, however, and it's political and you are politicians. The pushback to the Green Deal at times seems to be part of the cultural war. Some believe that green has gone too woke. Is that something that you consider? Has green become too woke? Is that a valid question?
Well, this is not what the EPP considers, but we have to see the result of the elections. And we have now 3 groups in the parliament which are pushing back, which do not believe that climate change exists. And that's what we can feel, of course. But what we need is more flexibility. This is all what I want to say.
Yeah.
Well, let me stop you right there for a second. And of course, the show is called The Ring, so it is time to take the gloves off. Now, you both are elected to ask tough questions to each other. Obviously, your constituencies and the voters who put you here in this hemicycle expect that. So now this will be an opportunity to ask questions. You can ask Javi, and Javi will ask you. And I want to hear, the punch that you have. Let's start with you.
My main concern is the industry. So my question to you, Javi, is do you agree that we have to transform the Green Deal in a green industrial deal? That we have to take into consideration the situation of the industry and help it to become green?
Yeah, my answer will be of course. No, the European Green Deal has to be our strategy to growth and to create competitiveness of tomorrow. We are sure that the race for the space race of the 21st century, it will be the green technology, and we have to be sure that we are accompanying the private sector and the industries in this massive transformation.
And your question?
It's the Green Deal is alive here in the European Parliament.
It is alive, but we have to adapt it. I'm very sure, because there are new concerns of the people, as I've seen. And if you look in the State of the Union speech of Ursula von der Leyen, she has also changed her focus. She put forward defense, housing, so more the daily concerns of people, because they are, cannot cope with living costs. So the concerns have changed. So I think the Green Deal, it's our responsibility to still work on it. But I agree with you, with regard to citizens, the priorities have changed.
Why is the EPP, if you allow me 1 second, why is the EPP working with parties and groups that believe climate change is not real then?
We don't work with them.
So what are the votes that we're seeing in which there's 2 majorities? You can either work with the progressives or a form of hard right.
Well, we always first try to work in the platform, and only if we do not come to results, or if the Social Democrats are not reliable in the plenary vote, then we just work on our content. We never work with the far right. We work with the ECR, but we never work with the far right. If they agree with our proposals, that's not our concern.
The EPP is not working with the far right?
Well, the EPP now, and it was this was a change in European politics, made majorities with the far right to pass legislation. This was what happened with the Omnibus 1. And I think this is problematic not only on the content, and I think the discussion, it should not be only on the content, because it's normalizing the positions of the far right in European politics, and it will have consequence in medium long term, also for the EPP, in my view.
And to that point, can you clarify what is the position of the EPP? There's a lot of confusion. This is now a group that is willing to pick and choose. In some files, you're willing to work with people that 4 years ago you would have never worked with.
This is not true, because we take most of the decision with the platform, and it's the left side who is also making decisions with the far right on other issues. But I said we always, as a first option, work with the platform only if we are deceived and if we are very much convinced that these measures are urgent, and these measures on Omnibus were urgent. I would have been killed back home if I couldn't bring a result from this vote. And we had to repeat the vote because we first tried with the Social Democrats and Renew.
She's making an excellent point. It's urgent. Could you give more leeway? Are you being too tough precisely to accuse them of being at work with the far right?
We are being really constructive on these discussions on simplification. And the reality is we are not blocking any file and any decision. We are saying, like, we can discuss how to simplify, like, legislation in Europe. But my point is, like, the main problem is, like, the only discussions that we are having here in Europe is about simplification. And we will not fix our economic problems only with simplification. What we can do? We can discuss to have a deeper single market. This is something that Draghi and Letta says in the reports. To deepen the single market. We have a lot of sectors where we have problems on fragmentation. We should work on that. And if we work on these areas, sure, automatically it will be like the
But it's not happening
majority.
automatically, and the EPP did win the European elections with that agenda. So some would argue you should move. It's not for the EPP to move.
No, like, we don't have to move. What we have to do is represent our voters. This is how politics works. And, like, represent our voters and their agenda.
It's up to them if they want to win elections or not, if they want to still be relevant or not.
Like, we have to represent our voters with the best will of to have compromises and to build things together. But we will, and the problem is, like, we will not fix our problems. Like, when they say, okay, green agenda is too woke, like, the climate is too woke, like the extreme events that we are seeing, especially in the south of Europe. We can tell to the people that it's dying when we have summers with too hot, or when we have drops during winter. Like, to be honest, this is not about woke agenda. This is about reality, and adapt to a new reality, and adapt to a new economy in the world. And this is what we are trying to do.
But it's also true that, industry is complaining for a long time over too much reporting, too much legal requirement. And I think we cannot close our eyes, because we have to do both. We have to, alleviate the bureaucratic burden. And we are now in November. And the first omnibus was presented in January. So I think it's high time to deliver back home. But we should also do the other thing. But we should not neglect, and listen to the industry. Because if you just do politics from Brussels and not listen to the stakeholders, we will lose them.
The industry says either this happens or you're going to put a lot of people out of business. We are going to continue, but first, let me stop you here for 1 second, because I want to bring in another voice. Now, Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, spoke at the plenary in Belém. President Lula of Brazil said, well, COP30 is the moment of truth. It is the moment of the hard truths. And the hard truth is that we have failed to ensure that we remain below 1.5 degrees. This is a moral failure and a deadly negligence. These are very tough words from Antonio Guterres. I was struck by the brutality of the words. This is more negligence?
Well, I feel that the world is not doing enough, but at the same time, I feel proud that Europe is working in the right direction, and we are doing efforts. We are making efforts in the right direction. The European Green Deal and all the difficulties that we have with that is a good example that we are pushing in the right direction the things. Well, emissions in Europe is an example. We were able to decrease 37% the emissions in Europe. We have clear targets for 2030 and for 2040.
We showed up. What we get in return is that this is moral negligence and this is deadly negligence. Is this kind of language useful?
Well, I'm not so sure about that either. And I think also, Brazil has a moral obligation, and they want, different things. They want to protect their rainforest, but at the same time, they want to drill oil. So, they're also playing on many cards. So I think we should be more moderate with each other and see the progress we can achieve together.
I feel the Europeans always get blamed and they got to pay the tab. Why is that happening?
Because I think we are front runners. We were very clear that we want to tackle the problem, and we are leading to a certain extent. This is true. We have a responsibility. We've taken it over. It's the Paris Agreement, so it was made in Europe.
And the reality, and I understand the Guterres words on that sense. The reality is we are arriving to a point that it will be impossible to accomplish the goal of the Paris Agreement of 1.5 degrees of increase.
It's impossible.
But it's almost impossible now. We are moving to a world that probably we will have 2-3 degrees of increase of temperatures.
And we're going to continue with the implications, but first let's take a short break here on The Ring. But stay with us, because we will be back very soon with more Political Punch. Stay on The Ring. Welcome back to The Ring, Euronews's new weekly show. I'm joined by MEPs Khaavi Lopez and Hildegard Bentele. And the idea here is to bring the European Parliament's debate to your couch. So what about you? What do you think about the efforts when it comes to combating climate change? And according to the Eurobarometer, more than 8 in 10 EU citizens believe it is urgent to take action, while 38% feel personally exposed to climate-related risks. Also, 79% believe that more public financial support should be invested on the prevention and the transition to clean energy. Are you surprised by the numbers? It seems there is really broad consensus. This is something Europeans really want.
Well, this is a bit abstract, when it comes to renovate your house, to, change your heating, when it comes to buy an electric car, when it comes to buy a product which has recycled materials, and it's a bit more expensive, then, attitudes change. So it's all the proof is in the pudding, if other consumers are really willing to embrace these new products, and are they also ready to, if their job is lost, are they ready to move to a different job in the new economy?
But if we say, and here's the thing, we use very strong language saying this is deadly negligence, the temperature will go up by 3 to 4, this is going to be hell for the Southern Europeans. And there we go, well, we need to work and figure out if we can get to an agreement. Maybe they say one thing but vote a different one. I feel there's a massive gap between the language, the results that we played, and some of the actions that we debate here.
Well, to be honest, sometimes I feel that we have to do more, and here at the European level, everything is slow and sometimes frustrating. It's true, with the green agenda and with more elements. At the same time, I can say we are moving in the right direction. We are the block in the world that we are doing better on that. We are able now to decrease our emissions and at the same time growth and deliver growth during the last years. And the problem and the point, it's not about the green agenda. The point is the model of prosperity of Europe is over. The model of prosperity based on cheap and easy energy coming from Russia, security cheap and easy coming from the United States, and products cheap and easy coming from China, this model of growth of the last 30 years is over, and we have to rebuild it. And a part of this rebuilding, of this new construction of prosperity, it will be green agenda.
But this green agenda is the problem, and again, I try to make sense of the poll that we played that brought support with the fights that we see day in and day out in this parliament. Is the issue, perhaps, with all due respect, the politicians and the politics? You're doing too much politics around the question of green?
No, I don't think so, but I think it's a...
You don't think there's too much politics around
I don't
this?
think so, no, but I think the problem is, it's a problem which is in the future. I mean, we feel some effects of climate change, but not yet that strong. We know what will happen if the tipping points, play in. But at the same time, we have to see that we are lagging behind because the change comes too late because we have missed some very crucial developments in industry policy. So we have lost advantage to China, and it's not possible to keep up with it anymore. We will lag behind. We will, assemble the cars of the Chinese.
And the Chinese don't just copy, they innovate. They are innovating.
They have
and
good
that's
quality in the meantime, and they're very strong and very dominant and very big.
It changes everything in a way for Europe. But now, of course, it is time to move on. We'll continue on this, but we do want to get to the 5th and final round. Are you ready? Now, it's time for something different, and I'm going to ask you, we've done a lot of chit-chatting, talking, debating hard on the stage, but I want to move on to yes or no questions. Let's see if it's doable, but I'll try my best, and I want to start with this one, perhaps with you. When it comes to 2050 net zero, is that still realistic?
Yes, it's binding, not only realistic.
Binding and realistic could be two things. Do you believe it's realistic, climate neutrality by 2050? These are two different things.
No.
No, like
you still say yes. Well, we continue.
Well, I say it's not realistic.
It's a no. It's two different.
Binding, but it's not realistic.
Voila.
Yeah.
Let's go into wealthier nations. Should they be paying more? That means the EU should pay more.
Yes.
Internationally. Yes, no?
Yes. And this is an international consensus on climate diplomacy, that the wealthier countries, we pay more because we emit more during the last century.
Yes, no, yes, no. Should we pay more, wealthy countries?
No.
No? What about red tape? Should we continue to cut red tape more aggressively?
Yes.
Should we continue to cut red tape? Yes or no, more aggressively?
Maybe we have to ensure this process.
Can simplification, however, coexist? And just to remind our viewers, simplification is to strip back some of the red tape around green policies. Can that coexist really with green protections? From the outside seems a contradiction, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, but simplification is simplification, not just regulation, the regulation. And this is something that sometimes here, when we are talking about simplification, it's not simplification.
Okay, is the Paris Agreement still valid?
It should.
Yes or no?
Yes.
Paris Agreement is still valid?
It's valid, but we have not met the targets.
Just finally, should farmers be rewarded for sustainable agriculture prices? Yes or no?
For sure.
Should they continue to be rewarded?
Yes.
Yes, and just lastly, when it comes to international support, do you believe India, China, and the U.S., all of which skipped COP, are they still allies when it comes to international climate policies? Yes or no?
Should be, because we cannot find another ones. The planet is formed with the countries that we are.
India, China, the U.S. competing very hard. Are they still allies on this matter?
All, but U.S. not on the federal level, but on the states level. They were very present.
And we're now reaching the end of the show. And here's the question. We've had a great debate, but were you convinced by your opponent? It's called the ring, of course. Were you convinced?
Well, we continue to work together. I think we are the center, the both of us, and it's our responsibility to make the Green Deal, the Green Industrial Deal happen.
Yes, I think that we have difference, but at the same time we have a common space, and we have to work on that common space, because if we are not able to have common solutions together, it will be the far right who will impose their agenda for the next years in Europe.
Okay, so for the Omnibus, the next one, it's on TV, it's cut here. You will work together based on this. I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah.
Let's shake hands on that.
This is on tape, and we're going to keep an eye on this. Well, thank you so much to the two of you, of course, for joining us, Hildegard and Khaavi. Thank you so much, and it's been great, obviously, to share this time with you. And on that note, we want to hear from you. What about you? Do you believe the green transition, green policies, is this still good for Europe, an opportunity or a drag? Please write to the ring at Euronews.com. We want to hear your views. See you very soon. And, of course, back again on The Ring on Euronews. Thank you very much.